This is the only logo design course you need in 2026, and not because I'm kind of some mystical gatekeeper of design knowledge. That might be true, but it's because the reality is this. Logo design has changed in some very real ways, and at the same time, the fundamentals still matter more than ever. We are living in a world where AI can actually generate 1,000 logos in the same time it takes you to sharpen a pencil. But somehow, that has not killed design. It has simply exposed the difference between making graphics and building designs that are targeted and on point. Which brings us to the rules you actually need to learn to survive in this environment. Most of the classic basics still apply, but they need a kind of 2026 upgrade in some cases. For example, simplicity still matters, but not the kind of simplicity that turns everything into the same 3 shapes. Soulless minimalism is not it, chief. Real simplicity today in logo design means stripping away noise while keeping the soul of the brand itself. The iron grip logo mark is simple, but you can still feel the weight, the control, the movement, the kind of psychology behind it. And that is the kind of simplicity we are aiming for when it comes to logo design. Versatility now means more than it works on a t-shirt. Your logo has to work in motion, in dark mode, inside UI components, on physical products. It's easy to envision the GRI shield here animating gently into place on a finance app splash screen, and then sitting as a tiny avatar in the corner of a website, and then also printed on a huge wall. That is versatility in 2026. Memorability actually starts with shape-first mentality. If someone blurs your logo, shrinks it, or just glimpses at it while scrolling, can they still feel the basic form? Your brain needs to lock onto the gesture, the simplicity, the iconic nature of a logo before it notices any detail. Scalability is now micro up to massive. Your logo designs, they must survive at 16 pixels as a favicon and also on a stadium screen. That might mean designing a system of marks, so a full lockup, a simplified symbol, and maybe even an ultra minimal micro mark for tiny spaces. If your logo only works at one size, it isn't ready for 2026 and beyond. It must work without color. So if you flatten your logo to a single color or to black and white, and the idea kind of just dies, then the color was probably carrying the entire concept. Color should enhance, not actually rescue a concept. Every one of the marks we have looked at here still works as a single color piece of geometry. And finally, it must work whilst scrolling. And this is a big one. People are not sitting in a quiet gallery contemplating your logo. They are browsing past it thumb speed on their phone. Your logo marks have at most a second to register. So ask yourself, does this still read at a glance in a chaotic feed, or does it become just wallpaper in a blur? Those are the rules that quietly separate 2026 level work from everything else we've just looked at, like AI sludge. And speaking of sludge, let us talk directly about AI for a second. Now here's an uncomfortable truth. Most of your clients already know they can generate logos themselves using AI. They have seen Midjourney, they've seen DALL-E, Firefly, all of it. So if the only thing you offer is, I will make you a cool looking symbol, then yeah, you are competing with a 20-second prompt, and that is not a fight you want to take on as a designer. But AI has some built-in blind spots at the moment. It does not do strategy. It does not understand the relevant psychology of your client's specific audience unless humans feed it into the actual process. It does not have restraint. It will happily keep adding and refining and decorating until the soul of the idea or the concept is just simply gone, vanished. It does not understand real market fit or how a logo is going to fit into a context of a crowded niche. It just solves kind of like pretty picture or pretty design. So your edge is thinking, not just using tools. And in 2026, you win by doing things AI does not do very well. You understand the tribe of your client, the industry, the culture. You know when to say, no, this is just too much, or this might look cool, but it sends the wrong signal, the wrong message, the wrong vibe. You know that a shield shape for a playful toy brand makes no sense, or that a hyper-aggressive sports mark for a financial planner might scare clients away. That doesn't mean you should be ignoring AI completely. You can use it as a sketchbook, as research, as concept creation. Ask it to show you 20 ways a shield could actually feel softer, or how a V shape could suggest speed without literally drawing wings. You need to have these ideas beforehand and then use the AI as a tool for kind of direction purposes. Let it give you the raw material, then turn it off and design like a human with a brain with a sense of responsibility. If you hand the entire job over to AI, you become the middleman, the middlewoman with no value. And if you use AI to extend your thinking, you become very hard to replace. And that really comes to life when you start thinking properly about audiences. So here is the mindset shift that saves careers in logo design. Your logo is not actually for your client. It is for the people your client wants to connect with, to sell things to, or just to inform. A logo is a piece of visual language for a specific tribe, a specific group. The Veritas baseball mark that we worked on does not need to draw on realistic baseballs to work. It feels like a swing, it feels like speed. It carries that slightly fierce edge that competitive sports do have. A kid or a parent looks at it and it just feels like our team. And this is what you're trying to design. Not to mention that Veritas literally means truth or correct. And that V is looking like a pretty cool abstract hit mark as well. So before any sketch, you need to know who that tribe is. How do they dress? What aesthetics are they already absorbing on social media? What brands do they already love? What are they trying to signal to each other? And shape psychology becomes a toolkit here for logo designers. It's really, really useful and one of my biggest uses when I'm working on a project. Circles communicate inclusion, friendliness, community. Triangles and sharp V shapes, like you see in Vespula, they communicate speed, direction, and a sense of attack. Shields like GRI immediately say protection and stability. And I'm not going to go over all of the basic shapes when it comes to shape psychology. I've done that countless times on this channel before. But then we have color psychology, which sits very much at the top. Blues and teals soothe and reassure. High energy reds and oranges shout urgency, sports, risk. Neons feel like future, like gaming, like youth culture. You catch my drift, you get the picture. Color does actually link back to psychology and tribes and groups. Now, if you match shape psychology and color psychology to your audience for the logo design, then things really do start to gel together with ease. They just simply feel it. That is audience first thinking. You're not chasing the pretty design, you're speaking visual culture here. And when you combine that with everything we've talked about so far, the only thing left is your process for turning these ideas into real work. So if your process still looks like open Illustrator and start pushing points around, you're likely going to struggle in 2026. A professional workflow now starts way before the software does. You begin with research and brand positioning. What space does this brand want to occupy in the market? Who are they up against and what is their promise? Then you build mood boards that are based around that strategy. Every single reference is there for a good reason. And from there, you move into exploration sketches, maybe on paper or tablet. And this is where you are quick and loose and focused on ideas, just not pixel perfection at this point. And then you manually refine only the strongest directions that you have that relates back to the brief and that tribe or that audience. You build out how they behave at different scales, how they might animate, how they might look in dark mode, or how they work with type. You start to build a system here, you're not just designing a single logo. We're talking icon versions, word marks, social avatars, maybe even motion tests if that is relevant to your client. And when it comes to logo design research and concept creation, I also like the process of word pairing. And that's something I go into in my logo design e-guide, which you can find linked down in the description box of today's video and every video on my channel. But when it comes to presentation, you do not need to send 20 random options to your client and ask them to choose their favorite color. That is simply put amateur hour. You send at most 3 strong systems, each one fully thought through and tied back to the brief and that audience. You show how each one behaves in the real world, on screens, on print, in motion. You explain why the shapes, the colors, and the type match the audience and thus the business goals. You're basically making it very easy for your client to say yes to your designs or your concepts. And remember, all of this scales with your tier. If you are selling AI logos for $10 a pop on marketplaces, obviously your workflow is much lighter and much faster. But if you want to run an agency or operate as a high-level freelancer, selling logo marks for 10, 20, 50,000, then your time is not just about clicking, it's about thinking and actually generating these systems. So know where you are right now, know where you want to be, and then treat your time per hour like it matters, because, hey, it does. The tools have changed, but the craft did not die when it comes to logo design. The bar simply has got higher. If you can speak visual language to tribes, design systems rather than isolated symbols, and you can think in terms of shape and color and psychology, you will not only survive in 2026 as a logo designer, you will absolutely thrive in it. And if you are serious about mastering logo design, then stay right here because the next video on screen will take you deeper again. But if you want to further your knowledge as a logo designer, just click one of those videos on screen. But until next time guys, design your future today. Peace.